It's a Football Friday, a recap of the Spuds, Dragons, and Gophers all winning. Plus, we get set for the Citadel and the Bison season opener tomorrow. Hot Mike starts now.
Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Is up.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mike. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Friday morning. Welcome to the Holy Cow edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV. Good morning, everybody in Sioux Falls. KNVN in Western South Dakota. And Inforum.com. That explosion you heard yesterday was from Horace, North Dakota. For our executive producer, are you all right today? I can't believe you came to work today. Noted Green Bay Packer fan Eric Bennell. I thought you were going to take the weekend off after what happened yesterday. The big trade that went down at about 4 o'clock that everybody needed to verify that apparently Micah Parsons is a Packer. Is that a big deal?
Yeah, it's the division is over. It's wrapped.
The division is over.
Green Bay is now going to own the North for the next 4 or 5 years.
All right. Well, I got a whole weekend of that coming. That's fantastic.
I don't think you got to sit next to me on the plane, though, so you're fine. You also got to deal with Kyle Emanuel talking about the Huskers.
Yeah, well, they won yesterday as well.
And is Sam going to do geography on the plane again?
Let's hope not after we found out he doesn't know that Charleston's by the water. But, yes, big news yesterday. We'll get to the NFL chatter here in a bit on the Packers swinging a deal that I don't know if it's equivalent to the Luka Lakers deal, because reporting was later yesterday that NFL GMs would have said, yeah, I would have given that up. So apparently maybe the Packers didn't give up much to get Micah Parsons. We'll get to that coming up in a little while. Last night was awesome. We've been waiting for it, flipping around the dial. We had games all over the place. I was watching the Spuds on Extra last night, and shout out to our guy Sam, had a great call. We'll show you that in a minute. I'm keeping an eye on the Dragons game going on in Michigan, which, if you didn't see it, we're going to show you to you in a second, was bonkers of what happened in northern Michigan yesterday, in Marquette, if I believe right, Michigan. The Gophers played last night. Eric mentioned the Huskers played against Cincinnati. T. Swift and Travis Kelce were in the house, so you know it was a big deal there. We had some FCS games go down. It wasn't anything good. The two Valley teams that played yesterday won as they should. Indiana State played a Division II school in McKendree. Youngstown beat Mercyhurst and ran their quarterback about 48 times. So nothing worth us discussing more on the FCS side of things there. And we got a bunch more games coming on here today. But it was just awesome to have everything back. And we got a packed show today. You know, it's everybody into the pool edition for high school football. Minnesota started last night. More games today. The North Dakota big schools open their seasons tonight. You're going to see the scores on our ticker of games all across the state in 3A and 2A football, which is exciting. And, oh, yeah, for us locally, the college football season begins tomorrow. University of North Dakota plays tomorrow night against Kansas State and Chris Kleiman at 6 o'clock. University of South Dakota plays tomorrow against Iowa State at 2:30 on Fox. Big Fox tomorrow. South Dakota State opens a new era with Dan Jackson as head coach tomorrow night. And Jaden Rashada is the quarterback of Sac State. If you don't know that name, that was maybe the first NIL test case that went out when he was at Florida, or was going to go to Florida, was promised stuff at Florida, then didn't go to Florida. And he ends up now, he's the quarterback at Sacramento State to play the Jackrabbits tomorrow. And, of course, the Bison have their opener against the Citadel tomorrow morning, which we'll have plenty on that coming up later in the show. So it's here. We got our first pick segment of the year. Excited to have my Pops back. We had negotiations all summer long. We came to a good number. Unlike Micah Parsons and the Cowboys, we were able to come to an agreement, and we're going to have Pops back up later in the show. So before we get rolling, you have an FCS note you wanted to throw in here before we get highlight driven here?
Yeah, because it ties into the Gophers' next opponent. Shout out Northwestern State getting their first win in what, 3 seasons?
It was 3 years. Northwestern State finally ended their losing skid yesterday. Yes, shout out to them. That game now is only moderately horrible next week.
You weren't going to keep them off from the field last night.
What a horrendous, that's just a terrible schedule there. But yes, Northwestern State beat Alcorn State, Steve McNair's alma mater, the late, great Steve McNair, 20-10 for Northwestern. Ends a 20-game losing skid. Not what Prairie View A&M had all those years ago where they lost 50-some-odd games in a row. First win since November 5th, 2022. Think about that. This is a long time. So they win last night. Thanks, Eric, for that, because that's who the Gophers play next. All right, so let's get to the Drags, because it was unreal last night. We previewed it earlier in the week. MSUM, high expectations with a potential NFL quarterback. Jack Strand is getting sniffed around. As we know, the scouts want to know if he's the real deal. Facing a Northern Michigan. You want to talk about losing streaks? Northern Michigan hasn't won a football game in 2.5 years, right? They've been terrible. So everything's set up. Playing indoors in the Dome. That was the backstory last night. And if you saw anything of this game, you're still shaking your heads this morning. We're going to pick it up. It's a 7-0 lead when Jack Strand is picked off. Jack's Hertel with a pick six. It's 14-0 Northern Michigan halfway through the quarter. And they weren't done. Duke Shovald hits Jake Heemstra. It's 21-0. It's a rout early in the second quarter. What is going on? Then Jack Strand heats up. Gets to the end zone for Madden Thorson for a touchdown. They hit the two-pointer. All right, 21-8 is the new score. Still a lot of time. Northern Michigan, they trade scores. It's 27-15. Look at the effortless throw in the back of the end zone to Gage Florence. The pride of Velva hauls it in for the touchdown. It's now 27-22 in the third quarter. Same score. Dragons get the ball back. Watch this one here. This is another beauty. Again, you can't let Florence get behind you. Another touchdown, his third of the game. All of a sudden, now the Dragons have the lead. It's 30-20. They were down 21-0. And now they're up after they get the 2-point play. It's 30-27. We fast forward now. It's 37-34. Another one from Strand to the back of the end zone. Wide open is Carson Elbert. It's 44-34. What in the wild world of sports has happened? But the game is not over here. Northern Michigan gets a field goal. Last chance. It's 44-37. The pass, though, picked off. And the Dragons spot Northern Michigan 21 points and come back and win the game 44-37, the final, in an absolute shootout, barn burner, however you want to describe it, gong show. That's what went down yesterday. Look at the numbers for Jack Strand. We're going to say that often here. 35 of 48 for 336 yards and 6 touchdowns. The crazy part, that's a great stat from Eric, his 18th career 300-plus yard game that he's had as quarterback at MSUM. Gage Florence, just another ho-hum game for him. 17 receptions. Let's stop there. 147 yards and 3 touchdowns as the Dragons open up with a win. There's a couple things that happen in this game that if they happen to you, you normally don't win. First is a pick six. If that happens, you typically don't come back and win from that. So if you give a team, if you spot them 7, that's normally the percentages Craig Bull always would tell me, if you give up a pick six or you have a block punt that's returned for a touchdown or some sort of special teams touchdown, the percentages go way down of you winning the football game. So on top of that, then they gave up another touchdown, 21-0, Northern Michigan, before the Dragons kicked it into high gear and just went crazy after that. Florence was spectacular. 17 receptions and 3 touchdowns. And that's a game, frankly, if they want to get MSUM we're talking about, if they want to go where they believe they can go, they got to win a game like that. And they did. Can't wait to recap that on Tuesday with Lockway because that was wild. They're back on the road next week in another winnable game. Southwest Minnesota State, as they play their opener in the NSIC, is not good. They got to go down to Marshall and win that game. And with a quarterback like that, you're never out of a game. You just aren't. Just how effortlessly he was throwing the football. And Northern Michigan, I know, not great. Defensively, seemed like they struggled yesterday in stopping him. What a game. Also, making his first start, that's going to be a theme of our show. Drake Lindsey made his debut for the University of Minnesota last night as the Golden Gophers opened up 2025 with Buffalo out of the MAC coming to Huntington Bank Stadium. By the way, shout out to the Gopher uniforms. Those are pretty sweet. And here we go, folks. Coy Parrish, first career reception. And why wouldn't it be spectacular? Because everything he does is spectacular. That was a great diving catch along the sideline there. We're scoreless in the second. Lindsey hits Jamison Gears. That's a great catch in the end zone. Gets Minnesota on the board first. They go up 7-0. Teams trade field goals. It's 10-3 now. First play of the second half. That's a bullet there. Nifty spin move to stay on his feet. That was a great move from Javon Tracy, who had a big-time game. That goes for 35 yards. Set the Gophers up for 3. It's a 16-10 score in the fourth quarter. Lindsey uses, again, defense. What are we doing here? Jalen Smith is wide open for a touchdown. That was the clincher for 60 yards out. Golden Gophers look pretty good in Drake Lindsey's debut, 23-10. It wasn't the prettiest, but game ones rarely are in college football. Heck, at any level of football, game one is normally kind of a struggle bus. 19-35 for Lindsey, 290 yards and 2 touchdowns. You see with a great game Darius Taylor had. They pounded it, 30 rushes last night for the All-Big Ten running back and 141 yards. Gophs open with a win. As Eric mentioned, they get FCS powerhouse Northwestern State coming up next Saturday. Good win, though, for the Gophs to open up. Overall, for the Big Ten, pretty good night. We mentioned the Gophers won, the Huskers won, so Stace will be thrilled. Eric's Badgers won in a game that... Did your quarterback get hurt for the year? I only saw something on Twitter that he got hurt early in the game, Wisconsin starting quarterback.
I just saw he got hurt for the game.
Okay.
It looked like he was just limping around, and they said he was good, but who knows with the non-contact injuries.
Right.
Which would suck because this is the second year he brought in a starting transfer quarterback and he got hurt. And we play Alabama in 2 weeks, so... But our defense looked good.
Defense was better for Wisconsin last night, beating the mighty Redhawks of Miami of Ohio. All right, last thing before we got to get going. We saw it last night if you watched it on Extra. What a showcase in Moorhead last night. Now, the beginning of the game, kind of a slogfest, but if you didn't watch the first half and turned us on at halftime, watch the second half, you got to see what we've been talking about with Moorhead for the better part of the last 5 months. That they are, this is maybe the touchdown of the season happening game one. Jamison Dunlap, are you serious? Are you serious? He tipped it to himself and caught it. What? This is a great angle. Watch this, folks. This kid's going to play for Lockway next year, so that is unbelievable. Tipped up in the air and he hauls it in. Tied the game at 7. After that, then Spud special teams. They blocked the punt. Of course, Tay Rich is there to scoop and score. It's a 14-7 Moorhead lead, actually 13-7. It's 13-10 in the third when Rich scores on this keeper here to make it a 21-10 lead. And then the capper, Jet Feeney, rolls. Don't let David Mack get behind you. 93 yards. That's a touchdown. And after that, it was all spuds from there. Moorhead rolls last night. Final score of 48-10 over Rogers. Open up the season with a convincing win. Tay Rich had 3 touchdowns. Jet Feeney threw a couple. Hit Zach Walker for another one late in the game. That's how you open up the season. It was tight. It was a 13-10 score with Rogers at halftime. And then after that, all spuds from there as they open up with a big win. Now it's on the road for the next 2 weeks. They go to Woodbury and then Minnetonka. So here come the heavy hitters. But if you're looking around in 6A football, and Rogers just is moving up with them as well, and if you're looking at scores last night, now in the Twin Cities, they're going to see, all right, well, look at same old. Moorhead opened 6A, and they blew the doors off the team that they played. That's an impressive start for Kevin Feeney's team. Now they got to go, and it's probably their longest road trip of the season, all the way to Woodbury to open up on the road. We have a packed show coming up for you here. Really excited about our program on this Friday. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. You'll hear from new QB1, Cole Payton, on making his starting debut for the Bison tomorrow at the Citadel. Everything from being named captain to the injury to now his first start at quarterback since 2020. We'll talk to him in just a few minutes. It is Friday. Cory Provus will join us, voice of the Twins. Twins are back home tonight. Open up a series with the Padres after a road trip that what could have been. They lost 2 or 3 of the White Sox. They lost 2 or 3 to the Blue Jays. They had some competitive games with Toronto. We'll visit about that and a couple other topics with Cory coming up at 9:30. At 10 o'clock, friend of the show, Scott Eisberg will join us, sports director at WCIV in Charleston, South Carolina. He's rolling out the red carpet for us. I did the same for him. He came up here almost 10 years ago, 2016, to cover Charleston Southern against North Dakota State. Now we get to return the favor, and he'll give us all the hot spots for people that are traveling. We'll give you everything about it for Charleston coming up at 10. And then, yes, my Pops is back at 10:35, live on location, I believe, at Oswego International Speedway. It is what we call Classic Weekend. It's the biggest race weekend of the year. From his camper. We've done this a few times before. We'll pick some winners in the college football season and get ready for a week from today for his NFL picks. So that'll be a great way to wrap up the show. So we are packed here today. Let's take our first break. We come back. You'll hear from Cole Payton on taking over as Bison QB1. Glad you're joining us, everybody, on a Football Friday edition of Hot Mike, which is back right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Again, a reminder, tomorrow it all begins live on location in Charleston, South Carolina at Johnson Haygood Stadium. Bison Game Day gets us started at 10 a.m. Some fun stuff planned there, and then we lead you right into kickoff. The show will go till about 10:50. We'll transition to our kickoff show, and then we play some football at 11 o'clock. North Dakota State and the Citadel. First ever meeting between the two schools. Bison playing in the state of South Carolina for the first time. Looking forward to that tomorrow to open up 2025, our 5th year of being the TV home of North Dakota State football. Can't wait for that and looking forward to it with our crew. Some are already there. Others are in transit. The rest of us are leaving after Hot Mike is done. They're holding the plane for us. I'd like to think that. But no, we got to get up to the airport right after the show is done today. So looking forward to doing it all over again. And frankly, for me, this season is going to be new, but guys you may have heard of, if that makes sense. And our next interview is certainly one of them. It's a guy that he's new is because he's a new starter, but you certainly know him. And that is reflective of all over the roster. Whether it's middle linebacker, Nathaniel Staling. I've heard that name. He's a new starter. He's played, but he hasn't started yet. Bo Johnson. I've heard it. If I'm a Bison fan, I've heard about this kid. Well, he's your new starting left tackle. Donovan Woolen, certainly heard a lot about him. He's the new outside linebacker. It's just a lot of that on this team. And I think tomorrow, at least for my purposes, when we're doing Bison Game Day and then the actual call with Kyle Emanuel, the great Kyle Emanuel, back for another year as well, is to almost introduce fans to the team. There are guys, Raja Nelson's back. Bryce Lance. Toby Anene, he's back. Right? Logan Kopp is back. Jalen Crumby, those guys are back. But there's a host of new faces that you're going to meet that are... Barika Penu is back. But DJ Scott, you're going to meet for the first time tomorrow. That guy's a transfer. Bison have 14 transfers on this roster. And you're going to hear more than a handful tomorrow play. That, to me, is exciting. In an era now where FCS football is what it is, to have some newness to it, a new opponent, I don't know what the Citadel's going to throw at the Bison tomorrow. I know special teams-wise, they're going to be awfully darn good, knowing their coach is experienced in that. That, to me, is the exciting part. And it's exciting to see Cole Payton finally get his chance. We first had Cole on our show back in the crazy fall of 2020, it was the spring of 2020. He announced his commitment to the Bison before that fall season, right during COVID when you couldn't go anywhere to recruit. And Cole led Omaha West Side to a state championship that year. The next day, then Nebraska head coach Scott Frost offered him a scholarship. This is in November of 2020. Signing day was a couple weeks away, and he gave the stiff arm to the Huskers, and he signed with the Bison. I think with the full intent that when Trey Lance's time was done, that the keys would be turned to him. And as fate would have it, Trey Lance left shortly after Cole signed to turn pro. And they, in terms of the Bison, had to figure it out. And they turned the reins to Cam Miller. And Cam Miller became one of the best players in school history. And Cole could have left a couple times over. And we've talked to him about this, and we've certainly talked about it on the show, that he had opportunities to go certainly after 2023, when the coaching change happened, go be a starter for 2 years. Sure. Knowing that Cam was going to come back. He did not do that. Heck, he could have been voted a captain last year, we were told. And he is a captain now. And now he has the reins of the Bison in 2025. We visited with him earlier this week at media availability, get his thoughts on now being QB1 for North Dakota State.
I know you've been looking forward to this for a long, long time. Now it's here. Describe the emotions of what's to come Saturday.
I mean, just it starts with a lot of excitement. Like you said, been waiting for this for a long time, and I'm prepared, ready to go, but super excited. I mean, this is why we do what we do to play on Saturdays, and so super excited to get out there.
You haven't started a game at quarterback since 2020. Just tell me the emotions of what you think is going to go through your mind before trotting out the field Saturday.
Obviously, there'll be a little nerves, but we're put in these tough situations every day at practice, and our coaches do a good job of preparing us and putting us in these tough situations, and so we make practices harder than the games, and so there'll be some nerves, but it's a lot of excitement, and I'm prepared. So
I know you have really high expectations for yourself, but what have you imagined I know you want to win, most importantly, how you imagine you want to play and get out there and show that I can do this?
Yeah, I've always just kind of had that chip on my shoulder, obviously, being a backup for so long, maybe being doubted, this, that, and the other thing, and just eliminating the noise and just being myself and being the best quarterback I can be for this team.
Cole, what's it mean to have the coaching staff and these players have that trust in you to be the starter and lead this program?
Yeah, the team captains came out the other day, and super blessed and honored to be one of those guys that the team has voted for as being a team captain, and so just super excited and like you said, like just that much more confident because of the team. My teammates have got my back, and so do the coaches too, and so just
Paulsek today in his press conference came out on fire, just super enthusiastic as Tim can be. Have you seen that in practice or in meetings the last week or so as he's kind of ramped it up here today as the season's getting near?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah,
no one's surprised. Right?
Yeah, not surprised, but yeah, I mean it's game week, and so we got to flip that switch, and it's time to go. Instead of practicing against each other, we get to go against someone else, and so it's time for battle. So super excited, not surprised at all though that Coach P's fired up.
Do you like that? I mean, it's
Oh yeah,
kind of fun, right? I mean,
no doubt. Yeah, I think Coach Polasek does a great job of being a motivator, and I think that's what you need out of a head coach. We all want to run through a brick wall for him, and that's just because of how much he cares about us and the sport and this team and this program. And so yeah, it fires us up just as much.
Cole, you're part of a group that have played but haven't started. Is that more of a thing we make of it, or is it a big deal that there's some guys that have played but haven't had a chance to start yet?
I mean, that's just kind of how it is. Like, I don't think there's. I think it makes me think of at the beginning of fall camp, Coach Polasek brought up this point, and I couldn't agree more. Like, on paper we're a young team when it comes to guys starting and stuff, but we're actually a veteran team because of, I'm going into my 5th year. Like, we've got O-linemen going into their 3rd, 4th year that haven't started yet, but they're old guys. They're not rookies. This isn't their 1st year. This isn't their 2nd year, and so. Yeah, well, we've got some inexperience when it comes to starting. We're prepared and we're ready to go because of the double rep we do of all of the situations we're put in during practice. And we might not have a lot of starts under our belt, but we've been practicing against the best team in the country, and that's against ourselves. So
it's been a while since you've had a game against another team. What would it mean or are you looking forward to that first hit, first play against another opponent?
Yeah, like I said, camp gets long when it comes to, beating up on each other. Code Green has had our number for the last month, and we go back and forth, and so it's going to be fun to just play someone different. This is what you work for, and so, yeah, it's going to be exciting to play someone different than Code Green.
You guys any good at moving furniture? How would you evaluate the team's performance over the weekend?
I thought it was a success. That was a really cool deal. We haven't done that before, helping the students move in, and that was a cool deal. Glad we were able to help out and give back because they give so much to us. So give back to the community a little bit.
For guys who are getting on the airplane for the first time, what do you tell them about taking a road trip and that they're going to be on the plane and go on the road for the first time?
Just enjoy it, soak it all up. Obviously, it's a business trip. We're not here to. I guess we're not going somewhere to party or to sightsee. It's about to win a football game, and so that's what it's about. But enjoy it and soak it up and learn from the vets. So
really intrigued to see how this is going to go tomorrow. Make his debut, and we'll have more on that coming up later on in the show. Guy that's been waiting to take the reins, and now he's got that opportunity coming up tomorrow morning. More on that later on in the show. We're going to do for a break. When we come back, we'll shift gears and talk some Twins back home tonight. Cory Provus will join us other side of the break. Back on a Friday morning edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra right after this.
Deep to left center field. Back it goes and gone. The 0-2 pitch. Hey, struck him out swinging at 101. Swinging a drive. Left field and deep. Back it goes and gone. And the Twins walk it off again.
I know it's a busy football day, but it is Friday at 9:30, which means we visit with Cory Provus, the voice of the Minnesota Twins on television. His appearance is brought to us by Welton's Tire Service in Lisbon. Twins are back home tonight as they take on the Padres, which we'll get to that because San Diego is a good outfit. The Twins just saw a good one in Toronto. For those that will follow the baseball postseason, these are the team they just played and the team they're going to play. In my opinion, Cory, are going to be factors when we get to October.
I agree with you on Toronto because of that lineup, and George Springer has gone back, in the DeLorean and found his swing from Houston because he has been. What we saw this week was that not George Springer in Houston just killing the Twins with leadoff home runs and big swings and just getting on base a ton. Yeah, he's having an amazing bounce back season. San Diego is an interesting study because. Doing some research on them all week, the lineup and the offense has really underperformed. And you wouldn't think that with the names and the firepower that they have. Starting pitching's been okay, but their bullpen has been awesome.
Yeah.
The bullpen acquisitions that they made, and Mason Miller isn't even closing. I mean, Mason Miller's, throwing the 7th inning, 8th inning because they have Robert Suarez to close. But Jason Adam, all-star, was a setup man. He's now throwing in the 6th inning. So even if their starters don't go long.
Scary.
Like Nestor Cortez, if he pitches 5 innings tonight, I think they're fine with that, because then after they had an off day yesterday, that they are just fine handing the ball over to their bullpen to let them go the final 4 innings.
Mason Miller, by the way, pitched for the A's. That's why people maybe don't know, and he throws 100. So, I mean, he throws just gas out there. So that's a guy, if the Padres have a lead late and it's tight, you're going to see him pitch over the next couple of days. Tell us about this last. I mean, we're at the point of the season. People know that are watching the games that the season is lost. Really not great, I thought, in Chicago. I thought there was better spirit, better effort for the 3 games in Toronto.
Yeah, certainly a much more competitive series in Toronto. But what we saw on Monday with the Blue Jays putting up a big number against Joe Ryan, that to me, when I look back at the last week, Tom, that's been just a common sight. I mean, we had a stat that I think over the last, this was going into Wednesday's game, that the Twins had been outscored like 29-2 over the first 2 innings over their last, 7-8 games. So non-competitive, lopsided early. And you're like, all right, well, it's a 6-1 game in the second for the upteenth time. Which Bob Uecker joke can I tell now? I mean, it's like we're reaching in trying to come up with something that's going to be interesting, entertaining, but so often lately the competitive aspect of the game has been decided.
Yeah.
That's been just a common sight with some clunker starts here, and then the starting pitching ERA is among the worst in baseball now for a while. Lack of innings has been common. So that it just hasn't been compelling baseball. There have been a few games here and there which have been exciting and entertaining, and even Wednesday's loss, as gut-wrenching as it was a compelling game. It was a close game. There was action. You want the team to win, but you'll take a competitive, fun game to be a part of any chance you get. But we haven't had too many of those lately.
I had this on my rundown to talk about, and I got 2 emails on it as well. Is there something to worry about with Joe Ryan? Last 2 starts have not gone well. You've seen it. What do you take away of what's happened the last 2 times out?
He just hasn't been as crisp, and I think Glenn Perkins. I'm with him tonight, and he's so smart at breaking down pitching. So we're going to certainly dive into that tonight and break it down. You can look at differences with catchers, and I think, Joe, there is a noticeable difference when Christian Vasquez has caught him compared to Ryan Jeffers. It's almost a 2-run gap right now. But I think it's more than that. I just in the back of my mind, I wonder, it's like, what happened to my team?
Yep.
If that you want to be a professional, and Joe is a professional, and I don't think his routine has changed. I don't believe it has. But they're just, for all these guys, too, I just wonder if for Jeffers and Buxton and the guys that have been here for a lot of good, if now they saw what happened at the end of July, and if that is factoring into their performance, their preparation, their mentality, being like, my team was gutted, and now what? I don't think that's the case. But I think with Ryan, I would be concerned if the velocity was down. And if you saw velocity really taper down, then there might be something that I think would be more alarming than just, he throws his fastball. It's one of the best fastballs in the game, but most hitters are really good at hitting fastballs. Yeah. And they have so much technology now that you can help. And it was really neat. David Popkins, former Twins hitting coach, he's the Blue Jays hitting coach right now. They had a machine set up before the game on Monday. And I hadn't seen this in a while, where it was kind of shooting. It was an upshoot. We're trying to mimic and simulate Ryan's carry as best as they can. So they had it on the ground in front of the mound, but on the third base side. So to kind of mimic where that ball is going to come out of. And they had it truly on like an upshoot, very low to the ground. Smart. And I can't tell you I see every team take early BP, but that was certainly something that stood out, and bravo to the Blue Jays for doing that. And if that gave them an edge, so be it.
I tend to agree with you mentally. I'm not going to say checked out because that's unprofessional, but it just seems like just maybe emotionally gutted. Is that maybe the best way to describe it, Corey, from what you've seen?
Yeah, I think so. I think the emotions are a part of it.
Yeah.
They look around and like I can't tell you how awkward it was that Friday in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Walking in that clubhouse and looking around like, who are these guys and where did the team go? And I'm in there pretty much every day, but I'm not hanging with them. I'm not hanging with them on the bus, on the plane, or all the hijinks that goes on in the clubhouse. It's a sacred place. It's a very sacred place and a special place to be. And if so many of your guys are gone in a span of 36 hours, I would think that would have an emotional toll on a player. Not to say that it wasn't expected, but at that level, did you expect one or two guys, three guys? Sure. But did you expect 40% of the roster to turn over? I don't think anybody saw that. And I'm sure there has been some kind of emotional fallout from that.
Matt Wallner has got the most – how do you describe his stat line for this season? I mean, he's got 20 bombs, but 35 RBI. I've never seen anything like it. Nothing like it.
I don't know if that's possible. I mean, that's
right?
That is incredible. I don't know where that ranks in terms of most home runs and fewest RBI. Now, it does kind of tell, and I'm a big proponent. There's a debate to be had. In fact, Glenn Perkins, he's not a big fan of the RBI stat.
Okay.
He thinks that it's while it's key, it's certainly an opportunity-based statistic. I buy that. But I see the value in it because, Kyle Schwarber has been an example of that he's been a low batting average, high home run, high RBI guy. And I'm like, I'll take that because an RBI, an action has to be performed. You're not driving in 100 runs because you're drawing walks with the bases loaded 100 times.
Correct.
Yep. You're doing something to create action with your bat, maybe an out, fine, but you're producing runs. And that is the most important stat in the game. Strikeouts, all that stuff, fine. It matters who scores. Runs decide games, not strikeouts. How many runs do you score? Do you score more than the other team? That is the defining stat. And producing runs, to me, I think, is the key and a key. So that's why I'm a big proponent of the RBI, but many are not.
When you look at how this lineup that's being trotted out right now, and I mean, it's hard to even project that far ahead, but I think we talked about this maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, so I apologize on the repeat frame of this, but this next 5 weeks, these are at-bats for next year, right? I mean, if you're watching a game, if you're going to tune in this weekend or even early next week, these guys, Wallner's right in that group, I think, with Larnach and a couple other guys, I think, that are batting for or playing for their Twins' future, in my opinion.
I mean, I look at next year, and I feel good about Ryan Jeffers will be the starting catcher. Royce Lewis is going to be at third base. Yep. Brooks Lee is going to be at short. Luke Keeschall is going to be at second. Byron Buxton is going to be in center. After that, I don't know. I think the way Wallner is going, I wonder, will this roster have both Wallner and Trevor Larnach on it? If so, does one of them go to Camp Morneau and learn how to play first base?
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is, I don't know what happened here, because you have this surplus of left-handed hitting outfielding still on the rise here, from Walker Jenkins to, if and when we see Emmanuel Rodriguez, but he can't stay on the field. But you have all these left-handed hitting outfielders, and now James Outman and Alan Roden, more left-handed hitting outfielders. At some point, let's try something. I mean, shoot, the Twins were, I think it was a bad idea, but when they tried to have Miguel Sano play right field, that was a disaster. But they've had, Alex Kirilloff, play some first base. I mean, they've tried to do some things. Heck, even Max Kepler in Double-A was playing first base because of an injury to a teammate one season. But okay, he tried it. I don't know what has stopped, this from happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why. Like Larnach, especially with all the lower leg and lower half injuries he's dealt with his feet and with his legs, and he's been DHing pretty much. He hasn't played much outfield, so I'm sure he's nursing, something right now. He's a good athlete. I think, given the chance, I think he'd be fine. I mean, he's a first-round pick, really good hitter. I don't know. I just think that there was something that went awry here. That why haven't we tried to do something else? And Justin will tell you that first base can be taught, that it can be learned, and Joe Mauer did it. I mean, this is something, it's a position that you can shift and learn how to do it. Salvador Perez is doing it. I mean, this is not, we're not asking Buddy to take apart, the atom bomb here. We're just looking at somebody to learn a new position here and see if they can do it. And I think at some point those conversations need to be had.
Hey, we saw it. It was, dramatized in Moneyball. Scott Hedberg, we saw do it. Chris Pratt was able to play first base in the movie. So
this is something that I don't think is too uncommon or too foreign. Whether it's been the want, whether it's been the guidance, that's not for me to say. But at some point here, that's got to happen, because I just don't know. I don't know how we see the same pieces on this roster again next season, considering what they added and what's to come from the minor leagues.
Let's break. Much more with Cory. Come back. Speaking of the minor leagues, a couple moves there. When we got a few emails, we'll ask Cory of as well as we wrap up hour one. Twins in action tonight with San Diego. All right, wrapping up our first hour. Back with Cory Provus. Appearances brought to us by Welton's Tire Service. Twins and Padres coming up at Target Field tonight. We're just visiting off air because we got the email that the 2026 schedule is out. I love that baseball does this early. Do you look that far ahead or not yet? You don't worry about it till the end of this year.
Well, next year I did. I actually, I'll give you a little insight here. I had the schedule about 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, because my son is getting bar mitzvah next year.
Oh, fantastic.
So I wanted to make sure that, I'm obviously going to take that series off, but I wanted to, make sure the dates lined up and it was all that. So I was curious about, making sure that it all worked out. So I did need to see that ahead of time. So yeah, I'm going to miss the Pirate series for my son's bar mitzvah next year, which is going to be exciting. And then that'll be great. But then I think where I grew up, I'm always, going to Wrigley to me is emotional, and it's always special. And so I knew we're going there next year. And I think that's one of the best highlights of the schedule.
Absolutely.
That we're there a weekend out of the All-Star break.
Yeah.
So I think 2 years in a row, the Twins have knocked out of the park, being in Denver this season out of the All-Star break for that series, and plenty of Twins fans were there. And I think plenty of Twins fans will be at Wrigley too to see, that series in mid-July. So, yeah, then late season West Coast travel is not my favorite, and we do that a couple of times late, not ideal. But I was finally hoping that Shohei Ohtani would be in town when it's not frigid, and thankfully that's the case. So the Dodgers come here in June. Those are some of the series that I look at when the schedule pops.
So they partly listen to us because we've talked about this the 2 years you've been on my show. We've talked about it. So yeah, they're in June, but it's on a weekday. We got to get them on a weekend. That's the last bridge.
But at least school's out.
That's
right?
true. That is true.
School is out. Yep. That's fine. I'll take it. Just not the opening
not
homestand
April.
Of the season.
Nope.
Nope. It looks brutal, and so that to me I think is great that they'll be here in June next summer.
And the Twins are going to spend the 4th of July at Yankee Stadium as well, which is interesting. That'll be kind of cool.
Fun. Yeah, I've been to. You know what? I know for a fact the Yankees have been in town on July 4th because the great Susan Waldman on July 4th, she wears this very sequenced, bright vest that has the American flag on it. And I think John Sterling, I think his birthday is right either July
I believe
4th
you're right.
or July 5th or something there. So I know there was always a big celebration when the Yankees would come to town. So that'll be neat. Yeah, the Twins they play the Yankees and they'll play the Mets. And I think they have a couple of off days in New York next summer as well.
All right, a couple of emails, Cory, I want to get to. One from earlier this week, seeing the news that Walker Jenkins got promoted to AAA. I wanted to ask, is this a potential that he could be a Twin before the end of 2025?
I'd be surprised. I think it's more next season. I think that I don't think that he's not on the 40-man. I don't think there's a rush to do that right now. But I think he'll be in big league camp. Caitlin Culpepper is going to be in big league camp. Maybe even Merrick Houston garners an invite. Maybe just garners an invite to camp just to see it. I don't know, just to see what it's like. And he's pretty advanced and first-round pick. He played at Wake Forest, great program. He's already at high A. I think he'll probably start next season in Cedar Rapids and then get his way to Double A. But maybe he's not 18, so maybe he's somebody else that earns a big league invite next year. But I think next year we'll see Jenkins debut, maybe a chance that Culpepper debuts. The farm system looks good. Everybody says that, not just me saying that. But that's certainly good to see, certainly post-trade deadline, that the farm system has climbed up the rankings.
Here's another email about a farm system guy, and I know the Star Tribune did a story on him yesterday. Kendry Rojas, a left-handed pitcher. Do we see him in the majors this year or no?
His numbers haven't been very good, so I would say no.
Okay.
If he was throwing the ball better, then I think yes. Barring, remember, Pablo's coming back.
Right.
Pablo's going to make one more rehab start with St. Paul. I think that would line him up to go. They want to keep him going every 5 days, so I would think Pablo then would go on Sunday, one more with the Saints, and then we'll see if he's back in play for that Kansas City series. I think that second series, coming up next week. But I don't think so. I think Rojas, again, he'll be in camp next year. Get a look at him. He was the key piece. I was asked so often in Toronto this week why they traded Louis Varland, and what I gathered from chatting with the Twins front office is that Rojas is the key piece in that. Alan Rodin, we'll see. He's young, left-handed hitting outfielder, high on base percentage in the minor leagues. What comes of that? Fine, but having a hard-throwing left-handed starter in the mid to upper 90s is something the Twins haven't had in a long, long time.
Tell you what, I was watching the Mets-Phillies series this week. It was Tuesday night. Harrison Bader hits a 2-run home run to tie the game, and then Duran came in and pitched the ninth. Like, this is surreal that these guys are playing for the Phillies now. It just still seems weird.
Was that the game that the Mets won?
They did.
Like 5 straight.
They did. They came back and won the game in the bottom of the ninth. Yep.
Yeah, and remember the Twins still play the Phillies this year.
Yeah,
they finished the season in Philadelphia, so 3 games. And I just have this vision that Friday night game, because the Phillies they'll already have clinched whatever they're going to be a playoff team, division, wild card, whatever, and it'll be decided that weekend, long before that weekend.
Yeah.
But man, that Friday night first game, safe situation, Duran's entrance hits, man, it's gonna sting.
Yep.
It's gonna be when I told my son that Duran got traded, he was in tears.
Wow.
He was in tears. He had Durant's entrance on his phone, on his watch. He doesn't have a phone, but he's got it on his watch. So he'd play that every now and then. So when he'd come to games and Durant's entrance would hit, he'd play that on his watch. And he was pretty emotional about that one. Probably the toughest news I gave him since they traded Brian Dozier back in, 18?
Yeah.
That one didn't go over well in the house either.
Last thing for tonight. Speaking off of that, this is why he's a TV pro, folks. What do we think the reception is going to be for Luis Arraez tonight?
Massive.
Yep.
First time back. Also, Nick Punto is back. Nick Punto is on the Padres coaching staff.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
wow.
So Nick Punto is going to be back. So I believe the Twins have 2 video tributes that they're going to run tonight.
Nice.
One for Arraez, which I think could be really awesome.
Yeah.
First time back, because every time the Twins have played out of San Diego, Miami, he was on the road. So I think he'll get a big hand. And he's going to be a fascinating free agent study, too, because the only thing he's doing well is batting average. And what kind of market is there for that in today's game?
Mm-hmm.
Defensively, nothing. Power, nothing. Doesn't strike out. Hits for average. But that's it. And it's going to be fascinating to see what kind of market he has, coming as a free agent this winter. But Punto, I think he's been back for different Twins events over the years, but never with another team in this kind of manner. So I think that's gonna be pretty cool. So yesterday he played golf because they were off here in town yesterday. So it was a foursome of Mauer, Morneau, Perkins, and Punto. And I guess Punto is a great golfer.
Oh.
Like he's scratch, if not shooting under par. He's a really good golfer. So I'd imagine that Mauer is a natural, as Justin says. It's so annoying because Justin has to work at it, simulator.
Mauer's good at everything,
and Mauer just can go grab a club and go. So that was pretty cool. As sidebar too, my son and I, my family went to we're Hopkins family here in town, but they played Edina last night, and Edina varsity football smoked them. We got a chance to watch Mason West.
Yeah.
Who was drafted number 1 by the Blackhawks, and he's the quarterback for Edina. Speaking of Joe Mauer kind of talent at the high school level, it's an impressive young man that we got a chance to watch last night play football.
Yeah, he could have gone and played college football at a pretty high level, and instead he's going to go play professional hockey, which is unbelievable. So
pretty cool.
Great to see you, bud. Have a great call this weekend, and we'll talk to you next week, okay?
All right, John. Thanks, buddy.
Good to see you. There he goes. Cory Provus, voice of the Minnesota Twins on television. Twins and Padres coming up tonight at Target Field at 7 o'clock. His appearances each and every week are brought to us by Welton's Tire Service down in Lisbon. We appreciate their sponsorship for his segment. We'll break. We come back. We'll start our second hour of Big Football Hour. We're heading to Charleston in about 2 hours. Our next guest lives there. He'll give us the lowdown on what the Citadel are going to bring to town tomorrow. That's coming up. We come back.
This is Hot Mike.
Hot Mike.
On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 on this Football Friday. Ready to rock and roll. Remember, half hour from now, my dad back with us for his annual picks. We do it each and every Friday. His season debut coming up in about a half hour. Really pumped about our next guest here, who we've had on the show a couple times before. He has actually been in Fargo multiple times. Last year, I believe he did the NDSU football UND hockey doubleheader in October. The man loves his North Dakota sports, and he works in Charleston, South Carolina. He is Scott Eisberg. He is the sports director at WCIV TV in Charleston. Get ready to host us here later today. He's actually hosting guys from Fargo this weekend, and that's not a joke. We talked about this. I had you on when the game was scheduled, and now here it is. So I guess the big question is, have you seen Bison fans yet in Charleston?
I have not. I have not seen Bison fans yet, but I'm assuming it's coming. There's a lot of buzz around this game. I mean, it is one of those things where I didn't think we'd ever see it coming. And then with these games, you never know because they're getting bought out left, and you never know what's happening with schedules. So the fact that it is happening, here we go. But I've not yet seen a Bison fan in town.
Maurice Drayton at his press conference Monday seemed devastated that the weather wasn't going to be hot. So that's the big thing on every Bison fan that's coming. What do you got for forecast for the next 36 hours?
Maybe a little. I asked our meteorologist. We are looking at a little rain tomorrow.
Okay.
So a possibility of some sprinkles there. I don't think that really affects the game. It's a turf field. It's not grass anymore. But yeah, like 79 is the high. Humidity is low.
Come on, man.
It's all we've been talking about is, North Dakota State can't handle a Charleston summer. Well, turns out, not only have the injury gods, I guess, blessed North Dakota State, but the weather ones have too.
Well, and I mean, typically you live there. I mean, heck, I know sometimes this time of year you've been doing hurricane coverage. I mean, that's for real. Like, and when I saw the game scheduled for when it was, I'm like, well, that maybe 50-50 on it actually happens because this time of year that's a real proposition, is it not?
Yeah, no. The Hurricanes it is hurricane season. I mean, literally our high school teams typically build in a week to reschedule a game if they have to. We know it's coming all the time. I mean, it's a potentially could happen anytime during this, 3-month stretch. But that being said, I mean, I have felt some of the hottest days of my life at Johnson Hagan Stadium. It is a big cement block that just takes in heat. I mean, I can tell you there are several games that I've shot there where I'm like, this is brutal. There is nothing enjoyable about this. So, yeah, that was my biggest worry.
Yeah.
Why are they playing it at noon? Especially because I'm assuming you would broadcast the game regardless if it was at noon or at 7 o'clock at night. ESPN Plus would have it regardless. I don't know why the noon kick, unless that was thrown into the deal where North Dakota State wanted to get back early or something.
As far as I know, no. So that part because I was fully, I said it on the show, I was fully under the impression we're going to play at night. Like, it's going to be a night game because it's in late August and try and, get away from the weather or from the heat. And that is obviously not the case of what's going to happen.
The only thing is that, maybe butts in the seats just
maybe.
Clemson plays LSU tomorrow night. And there are going to be you might be out of town already, but I mean, those bars will be filled. People will be, our station is just counting the money because we're an ABC station. So cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching with that Clemson LSU game tomorrow night. So there certainly would be competition with that, but I'm not sure that's why Citadel would move it to and keep it at noon.
All right, so give us what you know on Maurice Drayton's program here. He said it to me when he was on the show when it was 100 days out from kickoff, that, and it's been a much popular quote, that a couple years ago they were the worst team in FCS. They didn't win a game 2 years ago. Is he ahead of schedule where he wanted to be in year 3? They won 5 games last year. How would you evaluate where they're at as a program?
They were much improved last year. They really were. The cupboard was pretty bare. There also had to be a lot of change in decision-making and attitude at the Citadel because they were very much anti-NIL, very much anti-portal. All the things I think you just have to embrace right now. They were very much against it. This is a place that's built on tradition, that network, that, I earned the ring, you're going to earn the ring. And when you have guys transferring in and getting money to go there and all those things, taking night school grad classes, not part of the Corps of Cadets, you're going to have the old guard that's not happy about that. So I think Maurice had to battle that, right? And then little things that he had to battle. Maurice had battles that normal coaches don't have. Perfect example, last year we had a good story for us was the fact that their starting quarterback was a guy named Jonathan Bennett, came in from Liberty. He's from Charleston. He played high school ball here, and we've known Jonathan forever. We get out to the first game of the year, and Jonathan Bennett's not allowed to speak to the media on camera because he had a little bit of facial hair.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so Maurice Drayton is fighting the fact that we're literally having to point the cameras. No,
you got it. I got you.
Yeah. We're literally having to point the cameras at the ground because Jonathan Bennett's not allowed on camera because
wild.
He's got a little bit of facial hair. Those are the battles that Maurice Drayton is having to fight on a daily basis. So, yeah, I think 5 wins puts them in a tremendously good trajectory. But again, every year is a new year in college football now. Every year is completely different now. So the fact is, he says, and the one thing is, you could take Maurice at his word. He said the other day, we're a good team. We're not a bad team like we were my first year. We're a pretty good team. I don't know if that's going to equal wins and losses. And he knows that beating North Dakota State is like jumping to the summit of the mountain. He is fully aware of that. He's not playing that we're equal sort of thing. He's playing the fact that we've got to play a pretty perfect game to beat them. And we're going to have a plan to try and do that. So, yeah, I think the trajectory is good. I don't think that trajectory is anything for North Dakota State to worry about. You're playing with a backup quarterback, in essence. You've waited 3 years for the guy that was supposed to be playing now, and he injures himself as a waiter at a restaurant. Starting running back Ibrahim out. He's not going to play. So we don't know anything about this running back situation. We know the 2 guys who were there. They're transfer guys, but don't know a whole lot about them. So there's a lot of unknowns in there. The only unknown is special teams. It's going to be very good. They have All-American punter, good kicker, and Maurice Drayton teams block a ton of kicks.
That's something, honestly, Tim Polisic, Bison head coach, has certainly been aware of this week, knowing that, and Polisic is a Packer, now that he knows what Maurice coached in Green Bay, and the Bison have a new punter and a new kicker that are going to make their debuts tomorrow. That's something, at least for me, I'm keeping my eyes out on what could potentially go haywire tomorrow.
And I think it says a lot about Drayton and what he does with special teams. I think this punter is NFL type caliber. Yeah. He was offered $50,000 by an ACC school to transfer this year, and he didn't. I think that says a lot about his number one dedication to the Citadel, but also the dedication to Maurice Drayton. Him and a guy named Tony Coxum is the special teams coach. Both of them are former NFL guys. I think there's a lot of trust there in what they could do for his career. That being said, we're talking about the punter right now. I don't think Citadel wants to be punting very much if they're going to have a chance at winning tomorrow.
I got to ask, we were talking about fans. Obviously, Clemson plays tomorrow night. What's an average for fans that are going to go tomorrow to expect? What's a crowd like at a Citadel home game?
I think usually it's like 7,000, 7,000. I think tomorrow is over 10,000, 10,000 plus. It's a weird situation. It used to be in the 20s because they had two full sides of the stadium. And then one of the sides was literally like bulldozed. They had it had all sorts of like structural issues, super old. And it's been 10 years now and they haven't rebuilt it. They just have a bleachers on the visiting side. I think the bleachers hold 1,000 people. That's it. So a lot of the North Dakota State fans are going to be sitting on the Citadel side, which is where you want to be sitting because the sun is going to face the other way, and the fact that you could have seat backs and everything like that on the Citadel side, which you are not going to have on the other side. Plus, the only thing that's on the other side, I think, like in the past, they've done like a beer garden over there. But the Citadel side has all the concessions. You're fine. I mean, it's going to mix Citadel. So the one cool thing that Citadel that they have is they put the whole Corps of Cadets together. They're all in uniform. They're all together. They're all going to be in one section. They're going to be doing push-ups and they're going to be standing the whole game. They're not allowed to sit down. There's cool parts of the pageantry that you'll experience tomorrow. The tailgate scene is really cool. It's not on a main street. It's the street that Johnson Haygood Stadium sits on is right next door to a high school football stadium, and then the River Dogs minor league baseball stadium are all in a row.
Okay.
So all of those parking lots together become a pretty cool tailgate area. Super easy walk over to the stadium. You're walking a block or two from the tailgate areas right there. And then once you get in, the pageantry is cool, just being a military college. The Corps of Cadets will line up on the field. They'll march out and then line up, and the team runs out through them. And I mean, it's just it's a cool, different atmosphere. And Johnson Haygood's, look, it's not going to feel like the Fargo Dome. I've been there twice and it's incredible in there. It's not going to feel like that at all. But there's a lot of buzz about this game tomorrow. People know North Dakota State's coming in, and I think that's just going to bring kind of your general football fans as well.
That's cool. Looking forward to that. It's almost been 10 years since you made your Fargo debut. I was looking back the Charleston Southern trip, which I don't know if they've been relevant since that game in Fargo where Jamie Chadwell nearly pulled off the upset of upsets. Now he's went on to bigger, but thanks to you, he's went on to bigger and better things, obviously. What do we think for football in that area? You've lived there for 20 years. You've covered everything. How good is the high school football, the college football in the city of Charleston?
Yeah, I mean, I think the high school football is good. I mean, but our high school football has just been attacked by the transfer portal, too.
Oh.
I mean, that's the funny thing. I was talking to a coach on the first day of practice this year, and he said, where are you going today? And I said, I'm running over. I'm at one school, and I'm going over to your crosstown rival. And then he goes, well, say hi to my best player because they poached him, stuff like that. That's what we're doing. So the best are becoming better, and the others are kind of going that way. So we're seeing more of a split. So our 2 or 3 best teams are they are stacked. And the rest of them are just, it's a tough situation.
That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the football is changing, just the landscape is changing here. As far as colleges go, I mean, look, South Carolina and Clemson are doing well with the NIL. They're doing well with all of that, money stuff. I hope that, one thing that's going to hurt our schools locally in town is the fact this 9th SEC game is now that they're going to have to cut out that FCS game, which helps fund them. That's gonna hurt. But I mean, I think out of all of our teams right now, the far and away best one is South Carolina State in the MEAC. They played in the Celebration Bowl last year. They were really good. This coach there is a really good coach. CSU. They were awful last year. We'll see how they handle Diego Pavia in Nashville tomorrow in Vanderbilt. And I think CSU, I'm not really sure. Citadel is on the rise for sure, and Coastal Carolina seems, since Chadwell left, seems to be kind of a stagnant team. But they're the ones that are going to get stuck in that. They're not getting the NIL funding anywhere close to what the USCs and the Clemsons are. So. Kind of tough, but yeah, I mean, football in the South's always king. I mean, just like it is up there. But I just think the haves and the have-nots are splitting themselves in both college and high school, and that's the one thing I don't love about it.
last thing before I let you go, I mentioned this off the top. You're actually hosting some guys from Fargo. Can you tell us about how this all came about?
Yeah, so I have got these weird ties to Fargo. Well, first of all, the Morton family,
Yes.
I've known quite well for a long time now, and that's what brought me up there last year is Josh Morton, Augustana's athletics director, is one of my close friends, and so I've always been treated well in Fargo. But a couple of years ago, there should be a story in your paper.
Yes.
I think it's supposed to be today, maybe tomorrow. But there was a guy named Collins Moe.
Yep.
He was a guy in Charleston. He went to the Citadel who lost his fantasy football league, and his punishment was to go to Fargo in the middle of winter. And so these two guys, this guy Rich McFarland from Grand Forks was on his plane, heard his story, and called a buddy of his named Pat Thiel, who lives in Fargo, and said, "You got to take care of this guy. You got to hear this story." Pat Thiel took care of him. They went out, and he became a star in Fargo.
Yeah, he was at a Bison basketball game. He got treated like royalty at a Bison hoops game.
Yeah, and then I was like, I got to do a story. I know they did a story on it up there. I said, I got to do a story on this. So I got on a group text with Collins, Pat, and Rich. And 4 years later, that group text is still going on. Like, we're still texting.
That's so
all
awesome.
The time,
That's so cool.
all the time. So when I went up to Fargo last year, I met Rich and Pat for the first time. I said, the invitation is open. We have 2 guest rooms. If you're coming for the game, you got a place to stay. They took us up on it. So I'm picking them up at the airport tomorrow morning at 10:45. 10:47, they're playing Lands. We're going to go right to Johnson Haygood. They're going to watch the game with Collins. And then after I'm done with my work, we're all going to go out and, have a couple cocktails in Charleston.
That's so awesome.
And enjoy. Yeah, it's a crazy, crazy thing. So they interviewed us for a story up there. So I'm looking forward to how it all goes and seeing those guys.
That's so awesome. And that's just, in times when social media is such a drag sometimes, that's where it can really be cool. It's to connect people that never in any sort of world would be connected. And that's really, really neat. It's great to see you, bud. I can't wait to see it. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll make sure.
Yeah, I'll be down on the field tomorrow. Obviously, I'm not going to get there till right before kickoff because I gotta wait at the airport for Pat and Rich.
You got some royalty coming in from Fargo to entertain, but I'll make sure to find you. Thanks for giving us some time. Have a good luck tonight on some Friday Night Football, and we'll see you tomorrow, okay?
Well, hey, you can watch the show tonight.
I will. I'm going to watch tonight.
11:05 ABC News 4, and then the Waffle House is open all night. Just walk next door afterwards for some food.
Hey, our production team will love to hear that. Great to see you, bud. Thanks for the time, all right?
All right, see you, Dom.
There he goes. Scotty Eisberg, WCIV TV, Sportscaster of the Year in South Carolina a couple times over, and a friend to us up here in Fargo. And how cool is that? We've had Pat. I know Rich watches the show several times, so that's fantastic. If you missed it, McFeely wrote a column about it. You can look at it at inforum.com. Search that Collins Moe. You'll find it's a great story. Great story. That went viral. I think a couple of national outlets picked it up as well when it happened here a couple of years ago. All right, we're overdue for a break. We'll get caught up. We'll give Eric time to spike the football on the Micah Parsons deal and a couple other emails coming in. Again, we're about 10 minutes out from my Pops joining us. And then we got to get to the airport because we got to get out of here. Hot Mike, back after this. That was good stuff. All right, thanks to Scotty for giving us a few minutes. We got a couple here, short segment before we'll straddle the bottom of the hour here, get my Pops on. Carson Wentz, Adam Thielen met with the assembled media yesterday in Minneapolis. I know we had some sound from that in our newscast last night. So the acclimatization is underway for each of them as we're now, a week from yesterday is the NFL opener. Next Sunday, we got games. So a week from Monday, the Vikes, seems like forever away before they play the Bears. Couple other things. Mike Macdonald, Seahawks head coach, announced yesterday the offensive line that's going to go for the Seattle opener. And if you missed this is pretty darn cool, that he announced that Gray Zabel and Jalen Sundell will start next to one another as part of the Seahawks offensive line for the opener for Seattle a week from Sunday. Think about that. Those are two guys, Zabel and Sundell, started next to one another in 2022. I found that photo last night. How unreal that is that the two of them actually were playing next to one another at the Fargo Dome in 22 or 23. And now in the National Football League 2 years later, Sundell won that job. Jalen Sundell was an undrafted free agent. And now what he has done since he got to Seattle is all but impress. He started games last year as a rookie, and now he's going to be the starting center. And right next to him is going to be a guy that he was roommates with here in Fargo, who was the 18th overall pick in the first round of the NFL draft. I know it's happened, and maybe we shouldn't be stunned by it anymore. It's still pretty darn cool that that's going to be the case when the Seahawks play their first game coming up in just over a week's time. So pretty neat deal there. Again, if you missed it off the top, and I don't know if anybody watches a sports show, didn't see the huge news yesterday, Micah Parsons is now a Packer. The deal went down. Who'd you give up? Kenny Grant? Is that what you gave up yesterday? And along with 2 first-round picks, is that
Kenny
right?
Clark.
Kenny Clark. Okay, Kenny Clark. What do we make? So give us the analysis on the Packers side of this. Take your homerism out. Did they actually give up anything? Because if the Packers good like they were last year, these picks are at the end of the first round.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that Dallas has gotten fleeced in this trade, which is just unbelievable because you think
Micah Parsons.
It's Micah Parsons, and the scary thing is Green Bay just got younger on the defensive line.
Kenny Clark how long is he?
He was 20. He's turning 30 in October, November.
Okay. Wow, this is the good trade all over.
So, I mean, the fact that we signed him to 4 years, $188 million, $47 million, I think 136 guaranteed, which is the highest non-paid quarterback. But,
which he's looking for. He was looking to be paid that way. So,
and between him and Mr. Reggie White are the only 2 players in the NFL that have 12-plus sacks in their first 4 seasons.
It worked out for Reggie in Green Bay. So, jeez. What a deal.
I mean, I'm not going to complain.
Man, and that's the thing. When you're giving up first-round picks, and 2 first-rounders is a hefty load, but if Green Bay is expected to be good, like they won whatever, how many games? You won 11 games, 12 games last year, whatever.
I think 11.
So 11-6 last year. You're drafting in the 20s. This is not the 2nd or 3rd overall pick that you're going to get.
No, and Dallas is probably going to be tanking this year.
Okay, so if Dallas is bad, do they go get Arch Manning as their guy? That's the conspiracy, right?
They just paid Dak.
Move on there, right?
You're going to move on from him and do all that stuff. But, yeah, I mean, so people tried to do this trade in Madden. Madden wouldn't even let it through.
AI wouldn't allow the actual trade to happen, but in real life, it went down. It's unbelievable. So, NFC North, Aiden Hutchinson is back for the Lions, right? The Vikes improved. Their defense has already been pretty darn good, and they added Javon Hargrave up front. They added guys, right? My guy Van Ginkel, I love the Gink. He's back, former South Dakota Coyote. Packers just added Micah Parsons to a pretty good lineup. The Bears have what they have.
Here's the thing with Parsons. The Lions are trying to negotiate with Aiden Hutchinson.
Oh, yeah.
Now look what Green Bay just did. Oh, yeah, he's going to want more money than that.
And that's the opener for you guys, right?
Yeah, that's the opener.
Detroit,
I don't know how much Parsons is going to play.
Oh, he's going to play.
He's going to play, but I don't know if he's going to play the full game. I think they're going to use him sparingly just because he probably hasn't done much in the preseason. But, Super Bowl.
If you want to go up and give knuckles to Polisic when we get to the airport, I'm sure he'll take that.
I'd give him a giant old hug for this one. Like, he's got to be fired up.
He'll be excited about that.
He might punch you when you see him for getting this pick.
Oh, man. So there it is. That was the big NFL trade. Again, it was so similar to the Luka Doncic deal because people were, at least I was, immediately making sure. I saw the tweet from Ian Rappaport from NFL Network that was the real Ian Rappaport. I did the same thing when the Doncic trade went down this winter in the middle of the night when Shams tweeted it out. Like, okay, is this real? Because it's so stupid that we're in this era now that you don't believe it because people are making up stuff. But, yeah, like, this is the real deal. This is happening.
Well, there's a Twitter account out there that had this, scoop, 3 days ago. I think it's a dog. It's like Ricky Scoops or something. He's been, 5 for 5 on these trades, which is just
I know. Just shake your head at that.
And
So
then Jerry,
stupid.
the thing that I gotta laugh about, and I'm gonna throw this right in Cowboy fans' face, and Jerry Jones just needs to stop being an owner of the NFL team and just let other people do his business. He said we need to stop the run, so we had to get rid of Micah.
Yeah.
Like what?
He also kept calling him Michael yesterday. Did you notice that? He did that in the press conference as well, which is not great. So
he's being introduced while we're in the midair in the flight, so it's kind of disappointing. I don't get to see the introductory press conference.
I'm sure you can watch it to your heart's content when we get to
But
Charleston.
even
so.
seeing his reaction to being traded to Green Bay, which is all out online, is amazing.
Yeah,
like, let's go.
That's going to be wild. All right, we're overdue for a break. We come back. My pops will join us. I'm sure he's got a couple thoughts on the trade that went down, and we'll get his initial picks for the year. That's coming up when we come back. Final half hour on this Friday morning. Back after this.
If that was me and you, if you'd have went with a Boston, you'd have been living in the garage. I had a Yankee hat on, of course, which I usually almost always do, but she says to me, if I were you, I'd take that hat off. And I looked at what look at to begin with. I ain't taking my hat off. I know where I am. Yeah, right.
You believe anything that guy says? Because I don't.
He said he was going to marry J-Lo, too, remember? I finally told your mom. I said, there's no sense. Let's just put TVs in the room because I'm only going to wake them up anyway. So
that's how I got a television? Oh, yeah. It's that time. Final half hour of the show on a Friday. It's time to pick some winners. Dad is live on location this morning. This is our customary hit that we normally do right before Labor Day weekend at the Oswego International Speedway, ready for Classic Weekend. You're in the camper? You ready to rock? You ready to rock and roll, huh?
Yeah, I'm ready. Are you?
Well, I'm getting there. You know, ask me about 24 hours from now because that's when the game starts. So I got a full 24 hours for. I got to be ready to go. So, all right, we're ready to go. How you been? First off,
pretty good. Hanging in there, man.
Things are good?
Enjoying the week.
All right. So you've been up there. How long you been camping?
We come in last Sunday. So, yeah. A few more days to go. That's all.
And so roughly, I remember this is from growing up, but I'm not sure now. How many people fill in during the week? And what's roughly how many people you have around you?
Oh, there's quite. I think there's like 130 camping spots here, but there's probably 700-800 out back.
Holy cow! And are they filled yet, or they will be filled by the end of the weekend?
Yeah, they'll be filled by tomorrow. Probably,
okay.
So it's filling up.
What's our weather forecast? How we looking?
Sunshine, 70s.
All right. Well, there we go.
Yeah,
that's what we like. That's what we like to hear. Because all I've been staring at is the weather where I'm going, and apparently it's going to be like pleasant. I was all expecting like 90 degrees and 90% humidity. I'm looking this morning. We got nothing like that. It's going to be 75, maybe a little bit of rain. So there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know about next week. Next week we go to Nashville, so I'm not sure about the temperature for that. But at least for Charleston, South Carolina, it's going to be okay. Have you been to South? I've not been to South Carolina. Have you been to South Carolina?
No, not that I know it. Well, Myrtle Beach is.
Yes, there you have been to South. There you go. So I thought I'm not doing geography with you. I leave that for Sam. Sam's got his own issues with geography. I'm not going to do this with you. But okay.
I think he might be worse than me. Maybe. I got my little partner with me today.
Oh, there she is. Hi, Soph. You say hi to everybody on TV, okay? There's my niece. She's getting ready. You ready for school?
Yeah.
Got kindergarten coming up. All right. I love you. Yeah. Good luck this week, okay?
Okay.
I'll talk to you next week, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Well, let's get first here. I'm not going to get you swearing because my niece is there, but the big trade went down yesterday. You believe that the Cowboys traded Micah Parsons? What do you think?
That's good for the Packers.
Yeah.
I can't believe Jerry Jones. That guy, he needs to get out of there, man. Why would he do such a thing?
I don't know.
I mean, no matter what, he had this guy locked in for 2 years.
He did.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Evidently, it was an offer they couldn't refuse, apparently.
Yeah, that just tells you he don't want to win. That's all.
It's something. That's why the Cowboys haven't been good in 30 years. That's why they haven't played in the Super Bowl in 30 years, because they make deals like that. So
Yep. And just the way he runs it, he'd rather have all the publicity than
and certainly he got that, but now how good is this team going to be? You know what I mean? The Eagles are going to stomp them next week. So
I don't even think he cares how good they are. He really doesn't.
It ain't going to be pretty next Thursday night. That's the opener. The Cowboys play the Eagles, and they're going to raise the Super Bowl banner a whole 9 yards, and Philadelphia is going to crush them. I can't imagine anything else, you know?
Well, you can imagine how the team feels. He just let them all down. He really did.
Oh, man. Holy cow.
Good for the Packers, that's for sure.
There's no doubt about it. Well, wait. We're going to get all of our NFL picks. We'll do that next week for week 1 because we got the showdown to start. Steelers, Jets. Dad's team is the Steelers. Sources indicate I'm a Jets fan, so we know how that's going to go. We'll wait on that next week. We haven't talked.
I'm glad I got a cupcake on the first week. Anyway.
Here we go. Save that for next Friday. None of that right now. How are your Yankees doing? Are they better than the Mets right now? What's going on?
It depends on what day you watch them. It's terrible. The other night, 10-0 leading, it ended up being 10-5. Come on.
And I saw, I think, what was it, Friday night? That the Yankee broadcast unloading because the Red Sox crushed you guys last weekend.
Yeah, they did. 3 out of 4.
Not great.
Crazy.
Right now,
I think two of those games we had the lead and gave it up.
You're 2 games up of Seattle for the second wild card spot right now. So
I don't know.
If the playoffs were to start today, you would play Boston in Boston, best of 3.
Oh boy, that won't be good.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I will say on that if that ends up being the case. Right now,
it depends on what team shows up.
Yeah, that's true. Right now,
the fielding and base running has been terrible.
Terrible. Yeah, that goes back to the World Series last year.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they cost them that game 5. It cost them there, and then they lost the series on it. So, I got 5 games to pick. You want to pick a couple winners for us here tomorrow?
We'll give it a shot.
All right. Let's do it here. So this is how we're going to start the season with some college games, and then we'll get it rolling with the NFL. Well, you want to? Right now, I think the line already changed for the Cowboys game after what went down with. Philadelphia's -7.5 now.
Yeah, that's not enough.
Yeah. It might go up to 10 by the time they actually kick off the game next week.
I like Philly all the way in that one.
All right, the biggie tomorrow. Unfortunately, it's at the same time our game. 11 o'clock tomorrow is Texas and Ohio State. Ohio State, the reigning champs, at home. Arch Manning going to make his debut. That's Cooper Manning's son. That's Eli and Peyton's nephew. Ohio State's a 1.5-point favorite tomorrow at home. What do you want to go there?
I can't believe that it ain't more than that, but I go with Ohio State.
He's got Ohio State plus or -1.5 there.
Especially at home. I mean, I'd love to see this kid whoop him, but I don't think that's going to happen.
The game we're preempting on ABC here locally because we got the Bison game, but where Dad lives, they'll be able to watch. Syracuse is playing Tennessee in Atlanta. Everybody's high in the Cuse after Fran Brown's first year. Tennessee, though, is a 2-touchdown favorite against the Cuse. What do we make there? It's all orange all the time there.
Well, I take Syracuse if I could raise the point level.
To what?
You know what? I'm gonna take them anyway. Give me the Cuse.
Syracuse plus 13.5. Cuse are starting Notre Dame transfer at quarterback tomorrow for their opener. All right, I got a couple others here for you. North Dakota is playing our guy Chris Kleiman, your buddy. Chris Kleiman's Kansas State team tomorrow. They lost their opener last week in Ireland. I know he was cantankerous this week. UND, new coach, new quarterback. What's the most recent line here? It's K-State -21.
Wow, that's a lot of points.
A lot of points.
I'll go with Kleiman.
All right, K-State -21 there. See what happens in that one. Sunday night on WDAY ABC is Notre Dame and Miami, which is like old school. That's the Catholics versus the Convicts. Great ESPN 30 for 30 if you missed that one. Notre Dame is a 2.5-point favorite on the road at Miami.
Give me Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, all right. -2.5 on that one. Of course, Miami has NDSU transfer running back Marty Brown now playing for the Hurricanes. All right, the Bison game, the last thing I saw on FanDuel is NDSU -30.5 against the Citadel tomorrow. Did you ever take a team? I don't think last year you took a team to cover.
No, I know. That's crazy, though.
Change it up. Take the Citadel. Come on.
No,
Give us a good game tomorrow.
No, I'll take NDSU. If they're getting that many, there's a reason.
Well, you always tell me, Vegas knows what's going on. So
Yes, they do.
Oh, by the way, before we go, I had swear to God on this one, 2 emails saying your dad better be in Vegas when the Bison are there in 2 years' time. So the gauntlet's been thrown down because NDSU's going to your city here in a couple years.
That'll be hard not to, but you know what's going on that weekend.
Hey, come on, you go every year. You can go. Let's go. We're gonna go to Vegas in a couple years. So, hey, you know what? Here's the thing. You could do this if the game's on Thursday, right? You could fly to Vegas, do the game, fly back Friday. You don't miss the race.
Oh, you didn't tell me.
It could be a Thursday or a Friday, so you could do it.
Yeah, we're in that.
All right. So there you go. I'm not kidding you. I got 2 emails saying your dad better be in Vegas for the Bison.
I didn't know it was on Thursday. I thought it was Saturday.
No, it could be a Thursday or a Friday in 2027. So there you go.
We'll do what we can.
All righty. You have a blast this weekend. I love you. Have a great time. Hopefully the weather cooperates, and I'll talk to you when I'm in South Carolina, all right?
All right, man. I love you, too. Have a good time.
I love you, too. Thanks, but here goes. Bye, Pops. Bye, Soph. Bye, Steph. They're holding the fort down there at the weekend. They have a blast. They love doing that. And there you go. Our first pick segment of 2025 is in the books. All right, we'll take our final break. We come back. We got to go. Eric's got to go. Sam's waiting. Kyle's waiting. The plane's waiting. We'll wrap things up. What's been a fun Friday show. Back after this. All right, wrapping things up here on this Friday. Outstanding week of guests. If you missed any of our shows, of course, you can go back and podcast them all at inforum.com. You can watch our replays. Full show replays are available on WDAY+, so look back to that. I will be out on Monday. Sam will be in on Labor Day to recap the weekend from the Bison opener, UND's opener as well. Really interested to see, for our friends in South Dakota, how those games go. How the Coyotes fare against Iowa State, and the Jackrabbit game Saturday night against Sac State. I'm really interested on both of those. Sam will have the full breakdown. Sam Herder will be along. Kolpak, the whole 9 yards. That'll be on Monday. I'll be back Tuesday. As we look ahead then, Bison getting ready to go to Nashville, Tennessee. I'm really interested, frankly, to see how many are going to stick in Charleston and go to Nashville next week. I think that was the hope of the Bison administration when they scheduled this, to chat about that. And then we'll be a couple days away from the NFL opener, Vikes opener, all that good stuff. We'll be in September. So a big show on Tuesday. No guarantee that I won't tear up because that's the first day of school for the Jackman. Big day. First grade starts on Tuesday. So that's coming up. So we'll look forward to that. But again, Sam will be back here to hold down the fort on Monday. Maybe we can give him a Charleston history lesson when we're there because, there were a few things that happened in Charleston that's important to the fabric of the United States. That will be coming up. Yeah, Eric asked if we know where it is. Well, we're going to find out. We'll leave it here in just a little bit. All right, we got a ton of things on our air over the next couple of days, so we need extra time. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. What to Watch is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Okay, it starts tonight. We got our game of the week coming up tonight. This game is not in Kindred, remember. It's in Horace in West Fargo because, as Eric Bergad told us earlier in the week, track work going on down in Kindred. So Devils Lake, Kindred, first game for the Vikings as a 2A school. That's at 7 o'clock tonight. You can watch it right here on WDAY Extra. Kindred's got some dudes, folks. They got 2 legit FBS players on their roster. If you've not watched them yet, watch them tonight because this is pretty special for the state of North Dakota. So that's coming up tonight, 7 o'clock. Cullen Holt will have the call, and then the inaugural edition of First Down Friday coming up tonight at 10. Also tonight, Georgia Tech and Colorado. Dion begins year 3 with the Buffs, 7 o'clock on ESPN. We got the U.S. Open. We're near the middle weekend here, 11 o'clock on ESPN. We're in the third round of stuff going on in Flushing Meadows at the U.S. Open. And, the Twins play tonight. Padres Twins, 7 o'clock on Twins TV. Then tomorrow, don't forget, Bison Game Day. We hit the air at 10 a.m. on WDAY with a full pregame show, and we're leading you right into the kickoff at 11 a.m. I know if your guides don't say the Bison game is on WDAY, we are. If DirecTV or Midco doesn't say it, we are on tomorrow, 10 a.m. and then 11 a.m. for the game. Other things happening over the weekend. USD Iowa State is on Fox tomorrow at 2:30. Notre Dame Miami on Sunday night, and the Lynx have the Connecticut Sun tomorrow on NBA TV. Our thanks to Cole Payton, to Cory Provus, our guy Scotty Eisberg, and of course to my pops. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. Watch a full replay on WDAY+. Have a great holiday weekend, everybody. We're heading to South Carolina. We'll see you tomorrow.